Hello everyone, welcome to Task IS. Today we will discuss Unit 11.2 Demographic Theories, Biological, Social and Cultural. One important thing is that PDF of all ethics as well as anthropology lectures are available in our Telegram channel, and link of this channel is given in description of our video. So download those PDFs and enjoy these lectures. Now these are theories which we will discuss today. First is Malthusian theory. This is first initiating theory which is important from biological study of demography as well as from social and cultural point of view, and from this theory only other theories has taken clue to given their points. Now second, third, fourth, fifth, these theories are more biological in nature, although they have considered some social cultural points as well, but these are mostly biological, whereas 6, 7, 8 is totally socio-cultural in nature. So you can differentiate these theories and write your answer accordingly. Now we are discussing demographic theories. So firstly, what is demography? So demography is study of human population, and it deals with various concepts which are related with human population. That means birth rate, death rate, immigration, emigration, and it studies pattern of population increase or decrease, and what is the impact of external factors like environmental factors, disasters, wars, etc. on population growth rate. And in studying demography, there is need of cooperation between different disciplines like economics, sociology, geography, public health, genetics, because when we study population, these factors have important role. How health and genetics will determine a population growth is stable and or not. Similarly, sociology, geography will impact population growth rate of any society or a country. Now as the study of sub-branch demography is expanded, various other dimensions like impact of age structure, sex balance in population, migration pattern, socio-economic environmental development of that population or society is also included in our study. Now first theory is Malthusian theory. So according to Malthus, population of an area will increase in geometric progression. Geometric progression means firstly 2, then 2's power 2, then 2's power 3 and so on. But food production will increase in arithmetic fashion. That means here addition of facts will happen. So after some time there will a gap between food production and population increase. So this led to shortage of food supply, and when this difference increased further, then the disequilibrium between that population will exist, and as a result people will not get enough food, and that's why there will be decrease of population. That means people will die because of food security issues. And he has mentioned that there are some checks. These checks can be by natural methods or can be by artificial. That means if population and food production gap increases, then these checks will come into picture. And first check is positive checks, and these checks are applied by nature, and these positive checks are in the form of epidemics, wars, starvation, famines, natural calamities or disasters, and even epidemic like COVID-19, or you can consider it as a pandemic. So these issues will become under positive checks. But there are other man-made checks which are called as preventive checks. That means these preventive checks will help in avoiding that disequilibrium or reducing the gap between production and population growth rate. So he has given these points. In these theories focus on writing keywords, that means positive checks, what are preventive checks, what is arithmetic increase or geometric increase. These keywords are important. Now, but there are some criticisms of this theory. Firstly, when Malthus has given this theory, at that time Western Europe was going through industrialization and there was focus on mechanization. So they have developed technology to increase food production, and at the same time their population growth rate was very high, and that time food production was increased more than population growth rate. So this theory of Malthus was not applied in Western Europe. And similar case is given with the agriculture sector of US of that time, because only 2% of population was working on land, but they are contributing to $14 trillion at that time. So that means they have more food production. So food production can't be used as a method to check population growth rate. Secondly, Malthus has mentioned that this food production will be reduced because there is a limited availability of land. But in today's globalized world, there is so much export import of food grains that now non-availability of land is not an issue. So his consideration of land as important factor again criticized by thinkers. Now his estimation of geometric growth or arithmetic growth was not proved. That means he has not given evidence for this factor. So we have covered Malthus and first important theory of demography. Now second is Herbert Spencer biological theory. He has given his demographic theory in his work, that is Principles of Biology. According to him, fecundity, we have discussed terms like fertility and fecundity. If you have doubt, then revise our earlier lectures, and this we have discussed in 11.1 only. So fecundity decrease when the complexity of life increases. So he has used word fecundity and the complexity of life. So these are keywords in his theory, and we have to remember these keywords to gain marks. And according to him, changes in the growth of population occur due to natural changes. Here natural change means birth rate or death rate. He has neglected immigration and emigration aspect in describing this theory. Now he has found some inverse relationship between individualism and reproduction, because according to him, if someone is focusing on individual, his self growth, then there will be less wish for reproduction, because so much time he is investing on himself or herself. That's why his or her desire for reproductive activities will be reduced, because energy available for these activities will be less. And according to him, with the development of society, because when individual is focusing on his or her development, then of course that society will be more developed. So with the development of society and focus on individualism, life become more complex. So now he has explained his complex aspect, complex word, by mentioning that when individual focus on himself more, or individualism is more in any society, then the reduction in the capacity of reproduction. But there are criticisms against his theory as well. Firstly, it was considered that biological theory is not a real theory, because in real life there are some social and cultural phenomena also impact individuals' decisions, so that biological theory is not considered as a real theory. First criticism was this. Secondly, he has given no empirical evidences to prove that how fecundity has decreased due to more complex life. And it was observed even in rich families which are complex according to the criteria which is given by Herbert Spencer. So in rich families or in industrialized societies as well, there is high fertility rates. So even in countries like US, European world in the initial days they have experienced this high industrialization as well as high fertility growth rate. Similar case was with India when in 50s or 60s when there was excessive focus on industrialization as well as there was growth rate of our population was very high. Now it was again considered that population is a very complex phenomena, so no one can't explain it only in biological terms. And although Spencer has focused more on individualism, and it was mentioned that individualism emerges when women are educated, they are aware about their rights, but even educated women have noticed of higher reproductive power. So this can't be mentioned that higher educated women have less reproductive potential, because fecundity is always talking about potential, and this was also proved by studies of Western countries. So we have covered two theories. First is Malthus theory, second is Herbert Spencer theory. Always remember these points. Guinea's biological population theory. This is again biological theory. So according to Guinea, fertility, he has mentioned fertility, and Herbert Spencer has mentioned fecundity. So fertility will be very high in a nation when it is in a primary stage. So he has developed a relation between fertility pattern as well as growth rate of any nation. That means how and nation is performing in its economic dimension. And as due to high fertility in primary stage, here primary stage shows that earlier societies like societies focus on agriculture, mining, hunting, gathering. So these societies are considered at primary stage. So due to high fertility, the population increases, and due to population increase, social and economic problems become more complex, because as population will increase, other issues like poverty, migration, these issues will come, and these social and economic problems of any society or country become more complex. So earlier complex word and its meaning by Herbert Spencer we have discussed. Now complex word is related with the higher social and economic problems in society, and this was given by Guinea. So here you can notice that although Guinea has given a biological population theory, but he has mentioned some social and economic aspects as well. And he has mentioned that evolution of nation or society is linked with the growth rate of population. In first aspect he has mentioned that due to high fertility rate, that means due to demography, social and economic problems become complex. And again in another aspect he has mentioned that evolution of society is related with demography of any society. So he has described demography as well as development of any nation and their relationship. Although these points are looking very familiar, but when you will write about any particular theory, so you have to remember these points, that this theory has mentioned particular points. And according to him, there are some mystical biological changes. Although he was unable to describe these biological changes, but he has mentioned that some biological changes will happen, and these biological changes will determine fertility, fecundity or survival pattern in any population or society. And along with socio-economic problems, now industrial and trade problems will also exist, and they will also impact population pattern of any society. And when this complex situation will arise, then the population will be reduced by war or colonization. So here you can compare it with Malthus theory. Malthus has used some words like checks, preventive checks or positive checks. He has not mentioned any specific word, key term here, but he has also used same lines that war or colonization or these issues will arise, and these kind of checks will help in stabilizing population growth of any society. And when whole society or country become rich, then there is a decline on population growth, because now the reproductive instinct of any society or those individuals will reduce. That means will of those members of society for reproductive activities will be reduced. Now, criticism of this theory. Criticisms are similar to Herbert Spencer theory because these theories are more tilted on biological aspects. So, again, you can write that firstly, demography or population study is not only impacted by biological factors, therefore, it is not considered as very real to study only biological factors. Secondly, he has mentioned that some mystical biological changes will happen, but he was not able to define what biological changes will happen. So these are some of the criticisms you can write, and in these theories you can draw your own diagrams. For example, you can consider here development of any society or here population growth rate. So you can mention that when society in earlier stages, that means at primary stages, then the growth rate is very high, but when society enters into developed stages, then the population will decline, population growth rate will decline, and you can mention some issues like war or colonization. These factors will help in reducing or stabilizing population growth rate. Now, Thomas Doubleday diet theory. This is our fourth theory. According to him, rate of population increase will be less when the quantity of food supply is greater. So he has directly related with one key term, that is food supply. But earlier Guinea has related with social and economic problems of any nation. So here is food supply and rate of population increase are key terms. So Thomas Doubleday diet theory, diet means food supply. You can relate these keywords. So it means that increase in population and food supply are inversely related, and according to him there are two stages. Firstly is plethoric state, and this plethoric state is determined by having good food supply but fertility is low. Here you can avoid writing these terms, plethoric state or diplethoric state. It is very difficult for you, otherwise try to write these keywords. But when you are reading these theories first time, then you can generally take a view what any theory want to say. So diplethoric state, in which food shortage is there but fertility is high. That means if food supply is higher, then the reproductive capacity is low. And another aspect which is very vague according to me is that Doubleday has observed that high fertility will be found in vegetarians, and specifically he has mentioned rice or staple diet where is eaten more, they have higher fertility. I don't have clue how he knows about fertility pattern in West Bengal or areas in UP and Bihar. So jokes apart, but he has mentioned these points, and according to him fertility will be low in non-vegetarian diets people. Now he has mentioned that rich produce less children because their fertility would be less, because they have tendency to not distribute their wealth much. So he has given different points. Firstly is connected with food supply pattern, and secondly with which type of food is eaten. Now criticism, he has given no scientific basis to describe relationship between food supply and fertility rate, and also he has not differentiated between fertility and fecundity patterns. So how he can mention that fertility will be reduced, because fertility is influenced by other factors like sterilization and abortion, whereas fecundity or potential can be influenced directly, and this potential aspect can be more accurate if he have considered it. And last point which he has mentioned, that rich people have less children or less reproductive tendency, then it is not always true, because in some rich families there are more children and sometimes in poor families there are less children. Although there are other issues like higher infant mortality rate in poor ones, but actual result is observed that sometimes in more rich families more children can be found. Now he has mentioned that fertility depends on fatness, and as people become rich they will have more fat, but there is no scientific basis of that. Even rich people are very active and they have less fat content, although they have high protein content because they are more aware about nutrition values and they intake more balanced diet. But there is no direct relationship between richness and fatness. So this argument is again vague, and you can also consider that his argument on vegetarian people will have more fertility. So there is again no scientific basis of these statements. Now, Jose-Castro protein consumption theory. So now we will discuss about Castro protein consumption theory. So now you can take clue that although Doubleday has considered food as a criteria, food supply as a criteria, here Castro has specifically focused on protein consumption. So he has expressed his views on demography in the book The Geography of Hunger. And he has mentioned that when increase in protein consumption is higher, fecundity will decrease. That means when any population will take less protein content, the fecundity or reproductive potential of that population will be higher. This concept is very much similar to Doubleday diet theory. Now he has also found a direct relationship between functioning of liver and functioning of ovaries. So he has considered biological concept also to explain his theory on demography. So according to him, when we take more food, specifically more protein rich food, then our liver become more functional, and as liver become more functional, it decrease production of estrogen in our body. So if estrogen supply is less, then the healthy ovary will not produced. So this was given by him. And for poor people, he has mentioned that there are high prices especially of protein rich diet, and but poor people have low wages, so they have imbalanced diet. That's why their protein intake was less and their fertility rate or fecundity rate is higher. Sometimes fertility or fecundity, these terms are used interchangeably by these thinkers, so I am using accordingly. Now criticism. So in higher fertility has been observed in different developed societies which have generally more protein intake. So this relationship of protein intake and fertility is not proved scientifically. Another criticism was he was not able to scientifically prove his point that protein rich diets led to lower fertility or fecundity. Now in poor countries or less developed countries like India, there are multiple factors like agriculture based economy which favors large families, social and religious or cultural practices, for example sun meta preference in our country, level of education or joint family system. If women are highly educated, they prefer small families. Now joint family system again promote large families, marriage at an early age. These points are ignored by him in explaining fertility levels. So Castro's views that economic development leads to lower fertility again was criticized because of lack of evidences. Now next theory is Michael Thomas Sadler destiny theory, that is Sadler's destiny theory. He has expressed his ideas regarding fertility and population in his work, that is Law of Population. According to him, natural laws that are working in growth of animals and plants, similar laws will be applicable for human population. So that means he has neglected social or cultural dimension when he was applying law of population to human being. And he has mentioned that fertility rate will be decreased with increase in the density of the population. So his focus was mainly on density. So remember this keyword. According to him, in the agriculture based or pastoral or less developed societies, there is less density of population, and that's why fertility rate is high. But when time passes, that society become more populated and density with increase in industrialization, modernization and urbanization, people become more civilized, literate, and density of population increase. That at that time their fertility rate will decrease. And one of the factor behind this is because with the increase in the income of family and improved socio-economic conditions, they become more happier and they try to limit size of the family, because now they focus more on economic conditions. But there are criticisms on Sadler's theory. Firstly, Sadler fails to distinguish between fecundity and fertility. This criticism can be right for many theories, and his idea that density decrease fertility. There is no scientific evidence for this. Density has any relation with fertility or fecundity. It can't be proved with evidences. Even in countries like India, there is high fertility rate and also high density, especially in states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. They have high fertility rate, and Bihar is one of the highest density state in India. So this law is not applicable everywhere. Secondly, his view that with industrialization population decrease, but this was not true, because after industrialization European countries in the beginning has faced higher fertility growth. Similar was the case when India got independence, and there was focus more on industrialization, but at the same time fertility rate was higher. So you can write these examples of European countries as well as Indian society. Now next theory is Dumont theory of social capillarity. His keyword was social capillarity. So this social capillarity shows attraction for higher level or higher social status and repulsion for lower social status in any society. According to Dumont, development of number in a nation or in a society is in inverse relation with development of individual. That means when development of individual will be higher, then the nation will have less number of individuals. That means if there are more number of individuals in any nation, then the development of individual will be less in that society. You can compare, or you can understand, cut word compare, you can understand it with the higher human development index of societies which have less population, because this was main point of Dumont. According to him, when an individual focuses on his economy, his personal development, then he earns more income, more wealth, more busy life, and ambition for better position or higher social status in society. And when individual is focused on these aspects, then there is less focus on reproductive activities. That's why number of children is increased. And he has mentioned that in civilized society where focus on social status is higher, fertility goes down. And people when migrate from rural to urban areas, their fertility decreases, because in urban areas they become more civilized, there is focus more on social status. So this social capillarity has direct link with social development, and birth rate and social capillarity are inversely proportional. That means if someone has higher social status, then the birth rate will be lower in that society or in that country. And he has used word civilized. So these are keywords for his theory. Now there are criticism for his work as well. Firstly, low birth rate leads to high position in society. This is not true, because if any family have more number of children but they have higher social, political or economic power, then there is no impact on their social status. Even some of the politicians in different states have higher number of children and they are famous for that, but it have no impact on their social status. Now if we consider some childless couples, so according to Dumont, they will have higher social status in society, but what we actually feel is that these childless couples have less social status also, so they face some type of taboo, social taboo in the society. And Dumont's principle is not a complete theory because there are other factors which are applied when we study fertility or fecundity pattern in any society. Now next is Lebesgue motivational theory of population growth. Now his keyword was on motivation. So according to him, rate of population growth is function of level of per capita income. So he has directly related with economic development, and this economic development term was also related with Dumont economic development, where he has correlated economic development with social prestige and social capillarity. According to him, when increase in per capita income happen, desire to have more children is declines. And he has mentioned that reason behind low children when economy of that family rises because now parents focus on cost benefit analysis of bringing up additional child, because they will focus, if having one another child, then focus on their education or bearing their career will be very high, and that will be costly for those parents. Now criticism again, they have ignored state efforts to reduce birth rate. That means they are focusing on any individual family, their per capita income, but states efforts like sterilization program or various schemes in India that we will discuss later, that have net effect of decreasing population growth are ignored when we focus only on per capita income. Secondly, in countries like India or another African countries where development is low, especially infrastructure facilities are not up to the mark, in those societies mortality rates of children as well as mother is high, and this is one of the reason for higher fertility rate, because if children are dying, then that family will have tendency to produce more, and that will lead to higher fertility rate. But these factors of public health measures are neglected in his theory. And in underdeveloped or less developed countries, socio-cultural regions are important in determining fertility pattern. We have discussed these factors like education, agriculture dependent economy. These factors we have discussed earlier, these are neglected by him. So rise in per capita income alone can't explain the fertility pattern in any society. Now we have discussed various theories and we can categorize into biological, social and cultural. It is very difficult to differentiate social and cultural theories separately, and generally they are asked collectively. So our theories part is over. So now we will discuss next important topic that can be used in our anthropology as well as in our GS, that is demographic transition. This transition or change shows shifting of country's population. That means how the country population is progressing with time and the population enter from one phase of development to another. Here the various characteristics of population like birth rate, death rate, their migration, immigration, these characteristics vary when population enter from one phase to another. Now such transition is generally observed when any less developed or pre-industrial society enter into more developed society. And generally there are 5 phases of transition and we will see them one by one. In first phase there is high fertility rate and high mortality rate. That means here birth rate as well as death rate is high. This is stage 1. This is birth rate, this is death rate, and birth rate and death rate have concluding effect on total population growth of that society or a country. So if both are higher, then the net result is very low. That means there is very less or negligible growth in population. Now second stage will have higher birth rate and death rate is low. Notice difference between stage 1 and stage 2. Here both are higher, but here death rate decreases because in second phase now country starts development. That means here focus on social infrastructure increased, social infrastructure like education and hospitals, health, etc. So when these facilities are provided, then the mortality rate will be decreased. That's why in second phase birth rate is still higher but death rate decrease because of advancement in technology, because of advancement in infrastructure facilities in that society. So stage 2 we have explained. Now in stage 2 collectively see that if birth rate is high, death rate is low, that means that society's population will increase. So this is first phase of population growth. Here exponential growth rate is observed. Now this is third stage. So here also birth rate is higher but birth rate starts declining. Here we have explained that death rate decreases because of advancement, but here birth rate still continues higher, and there in the later phase it starts declining. So it starts declining because now focus more on changing attitude of people, changing behavior of those people, as well as income rises, now focus more on small family size. You can correlate with various theories that we have discussed, that with rise in nutritional values fertility decrease, or with rise in social status, economic condition of any society, as well as now urbanization in countries will be higher. In third stage now the birth rate also starts declining. So in third stage also we will face some population growth rate, but this is the second stage and this is comparatively less as compared to phase 1, that is under stage 2. So this stage 3 also face higher population growth rate. Now we will enter into stage 4. Here birth rate as well as death rate both are low because higher facilities and technological advancement led to death rate very low. So this is a particular stage. Now birth rate also decrease, and it decrease at the level that it starts equaling with death rate. So this at this stage now population starts to enter into equilibrium. There is a tendency to enter into a stabilization period or equilibrium stage. So some of the developed countries like Canada, US, these are entered into stage 4. Now is the next stage, that is stage 5. Here both birth rate and death rate are very low. So now you can see, and in stage 4 there is tendency that birth rate will decrease further and the birth rate level decrease even below to the death rate. So some societies like Japan and even to some extent South Korea, these countries are going through stage 5 because they have more older population. Now their death rate is decreased but their birth rate is below as compared to their death rate. So you can mention this example. So as society or country develop, this is the phase and how the transition of any population into one phase to another phase happen. This is a demographic transition. Here I have explained what I mean from that diagram. So in first phase there is a stagnant growth, or there is very less growth or negligible growth, but in phase 2 what we have seen is higher growth rate. So this is the booming phase or early expanding phase. In phase 3 there is late expanding phase. Now phase 4 is stable growth or the low stationary phase, that is the US and Canada. These countries are facing this. Now in the phase 4 is natural decrease is happen. Natural because birth rate and death rate, these are considered as the natural phenomena to understand population pattern. Because if we consider artificial factors as well, then we have to consider immigration pattern or emigration pattern. That means migration of people in and out of the country will have to be discussed if we include artificial factors, but we are here discussing only birth rate as well as death rate. That's why this is natural decrease. So if we discussed about situation of India in that particular demographic transition pattern, so demographic dividend in India is high. That means now India is going through a young stage where working population have a majority. That means here the people under 15 to 30 or 35 years of age are having majority as compared to children as well as young people. India is moving from agrarian economic to industrialized as well as service based economy. That's why India is entering into phase 4, because now the fertility rate is around 2.2 and we are targeting that we will decrease it further. So if we consider census of 2011, then the decadal population growth of India was 16 to 17%. So it shows that we are continuously declining our population growth rate, and this is happening because our death rate is decreased because of advancement in technology and physical infrastructure, and birth rate is decreased because of our state as well as personal efforts to maintain small family size. Now according to census 11, Kerala have the lowest growth rate and Meghalaya has the highest one. These are some facts that you can use. Nagaland is the only state to have negative growth rate. So this is negative growth rate. Always remember. That means Nagaland has faced less growth as compared to earlier phase of census 2001. Now various schemes like National Population Policy, National Health Mission, Janyu Suraksha Yojana or Matrita Sehayog Yojana, these are some of the schemes that have been launched to control our population growth. Apart from that, mentioned National Population Policy. So these are some of the steps to control our population growth. Now apart from controlling our population growth rate, there should be focus on child sex ratio as well as sex ratio, because we have very skewed sex ratio. Child sex ratio is 919 and the sex ratio is around 940. So this shows that there is a need to focus on gender neutral development of our population as well as our country, so that inclusive development can take place. And schemes like Beti Bachao Beti Padhao needs more thrust from government as well as from individual side, and there should be focus on utilizing anthropologists, their approach of cultural relativism, to understand why there is more focus on patriarchy and understand why there is still preference for boys, especially in ritual purposes or social status programs. So if we focus on these factors, then our country will have a sustainable population growth rate as well as it will be gender neutral. So that's all for today. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. So please like, share and subscribe Task IAS. Thank you so much.